Hello, I'm The Sun's royal editor Matt Wilkinson, and this is Royal Exclusive. Today we welcome to the studio The Sun's legendary photographer Arthur Edwards and news.com.au royal correspondent Bronte Coy. And would you believe it's been 5 years since Megxit, where the Sussexes stepped back as working royals and Harry and Meghan decided to move to California? Right, you two, let's have a quick chat about 5 years on from Megxit. Are we able to say who's come out on top and whether it was the right decision for the Buckingham Palace and also the Sussexes?
I don't think they've come out on top. No, I think they're doing okay in a society where it's important to be like that, and they're doing pretty well in America. But you know, in 10 years, I mean, in 5 years' time, I hope Harry's back here working for the royal family, because I worked with him when he did that, and he was brilliant at it. And I think what I see him doing in America now, I don't think he's fulfilling his full potential. He's playing polo matches and doing very little, and he misses his working her socks off. You know, I mean, whatever we say about these shows, you know, they take a lot of organising, a lot of filming, and a lot of refilming and doing it properly. And this Harry's doing anything. In fact, we don't see Harry much these days. So I think that the 5 years. They've managed to accuse the royal family of racism. They've said some awful things about Camilla. He's been writing about his fighting with his brother. All the things you just don't do. You keep all that out of the limelight. You don't talk about the family. And she's been on to Oprah Winfrey, and she's done all this, saying all these things, some of which is untrue. And I think, you know, all we do is talk about them. You know, every day in the papers or doing something, we're just talking about them. So they must be doing something.
Welcome back to Meghan and Harry Tales, your go-to channel for the truth behind the headlines and the real story of the Sussexes. Today we're addressing the latest chatter from the Sun's so-called royal experts as they attempt to rehash tired narratives about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle on the 5th anniversary of what they still love to call Megxit. Now, let's set the record straight. Matt Wilkinson, Bronte Coy and Arthur Edwards sat down to assess whether stepping away from the royal family was the right decision. But of course the Sun wouldn't be the Sun if they didn't try to paint this as some tragic mistake, especially Arthur Edwards, who claims Harry regrets leaving and misses the UK. Well, let's unpack this properly and expose just how flawed and biased these narratives are. 5 years ago, a seismic shift rippled through the British monarchy. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, made the momentous decision to step back from their senior royal roles. This move, dubbed Megxit by a gleeful British tabloid press, sent shockwaves across the globe. The Sun, along with a chorus of similar outlets, went into overdrive. They painted the couple's decision as reckless, selfish and damaging to the very fabric of the monarchy. Headlines screamed of betrayal and disrespect. They portrayed Meghan as a manipulative Hollywood actress who had ensnared a naive prince. Harry, they lamented, was a shadow of his former self, led astray by his ambitious wife. The narrative was clear. Harry and Meghan were in the wrong, and the hallowed halls of Buckingham Palace would forever bear the scars of their departure. This relentless negativity, however, masked a deeper truth. The Sussexes' decision to step back was not a rash impulse. It was a calculated and courageous move born out of a desperate need for self-preservation. They chose to prioritize their well-being, their mental health, and their future as a family over the gilded cage of royal life. This act of defiance sent a powerful message. They would no longer be silenced or controlled by an institution that seemed unwilling or unable to protect them. Leaving the royal family was not about rejecting duty or turning their backs on the UK. It was about reclaiming their narrative, taking control of their destiny, and building a life where they could thrive, not just survive. It was about creating a world where their children could grow up free from the constraints of royal protocol and the relentless scrutiny of the British tabloid press. The move was a bold gamble, a leap of faith into the unknown. It meant relinquishing their HRH titles, becoming financially independent, and forging their own path. Yet Harry and Meghan were determined to create a new normal, one where they could live authentically and on their own terms. First off, let's remember that it wasn't just Harry and Meghan who stepped back. It was a calculated decision in response to an unrelenting smear campaign from the British press and a lack of support from the institution. 5 years on, the Sussexes have built a life on their own terms, something that no other senior royal has ever dared to do. And for that, they should be applauded, not ridiculed. Arthur Edwards and company argue that Harry is somehow yearning for his old life. But let's look at the facts. Does this look like a man who regrets his decision? Since moving to California, Harry has thrived. He's established the highly successful Invictus Games, published a record-breaking memoir, and, alongside Meghan, built a multi-million-dollar media empire through Archewell Productions. He continues his mother's legacy of charitable work and is actively involved in causes that matter to him, from mental health advocacy to veteran support. Meanwhile, Meghan is flourishing as well. She's not just a former actress, but a powerhouse in her own right, launching meaningful projects, winning awards for her philanthropy, and proving that she is more than just a duchess confined to the palace walls. And let's not forget, she was the one who faced the brunt of the British media's toxicity. She's finally free to live her life without the constraints of an institution that refused to protect her. But here's the part the royal commentators conveniently ignore: the toll that staying in the UK would have taken on their family. Are we supposed to pretend that Harry and Meghan should have remained in an environment that openly harassed them? That subjected Meghan to racist undertones in every article? That showed zero interest in Harry's mental health, despite him openly speaking about his struggles? And let's talk about their children. Archie and Lilibet are growing up in a space where they are not defined by a rigid hierarchy, where they have the freedom to explore their identities away from the glare of the British tabloids. Isn't that what any good parent would want? Arthur Edwards' claims that Harry misses the UK might sound compelling if you ignore that he's actually been back multiple times on his own terms. He attended the Queen's funeral, he made brief appearances for his father's coronation, and he even recently visited to support his charities. But what Harry doesn't miss is the toxicity of the royal system and the oppressive environment that made him and his wife's lives unbearable. So, the question isn't whether Harry and Meghan made the right choice. It's why people like Arthur Edwards are so desperate to make it seem like they didn't. The answer is simple. The British media, particularly tabloids like The Sun, thrived on having Harry and Meghan as their punching bags. Their departure disrupted a profitable cycle of clickbait, and 5 years later the press still hasn't recovered from that loss. The bottom line is this: Harry and Meghan left behind a system that was never designed to support them, and in doing so, they have built a future that is not only successful but most importantly free. So to those at The Sun who are still crying over Megxit 5 years later, maybe it's time to move on. The Sussexes have, and they are thriving. That's it for today's episode of Meghan and Harry Tales. If you love the truth and want to continue supporting independent voices calling out media hypocrisy, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Until next time, stay informed and stay empowered.